Thank you, thank you, thank you. So everybody was smiling, create a more welcoming environment. So like Dan, I grew up playing sports as well. I grew up playing basketball, I grew up playing football, and I lift weights. And I did things to my body that I didn't really feel connected. So I was always searching for something a little bit more. Fitness was important, but it wasn't enough. So I did push-ups, I did sit-ups, I did pull-ups, I did a variety of different workouts, but it still wasn't enough. Something was always missing. And then I seen a gentleman by the name of Bruce Lee. I seen him training one day, and I said, that was pretty impressive. Bruce Lee he was a bad man. Y'all know Bruce Lee? He was a bad man. But I wasn't really intrigued by his physical ability more than I was his philosophies. The art of fighting without fighting. A lot of things that he brought to the table. So I wanted to get a Bruce Lee training video. I said, I want my mind and my body to kind of function and marry that. So in my pursuit of finding this video, I ended up finding a yoga video instead. And at that time, it wasn't popular. You didn't see studios on every corner. I'd never heard about yoga before. It was Patricia Walden video. It didn't look like like in my neighborhood, it didn't look like this would be accepted in my kind of community. But I bought it anyway. It was on sale, so I went home and I did it. And it was an hour and a half, and I couldn't finish the video. I was sweating. I was shaking. I was in Warrior 2, just shaking. Like, man, this is intense. And I was wondering, can I finish? And I didn't finish. But at the end, we had to lay down, and I started having to go internal. And that's what I was looking for. That was the medicine I was looking for. It was taking my mind to a different place. And all the other workouts that I had done before never took me to that space. So then I realized it was something deeper that was happening that I was interested in. I wasn't interested in toning my body up to appease the people who surround me. Because a lot of times we're looking for acceptance. So we get in shape to get the girl that we want, or to get the job that we want because it's physically appealing. But I was looking for something a little deeper than that. I wanted to make a greater contribution, but I didn't even know that until I practiced. I said, wow, what would that look like if the rest of society experienced this? So then I started practicing, and I used to work at a fitness club, and I wasn't teaching at the time, but I was practicing on my own during my breaks. And there was a gentleman, he said, man, do you mind if I join you? I said, nah, man, I got some videos at the house. I'm just doing what I've been learning on the video. I don't know nothing about this. And he's like, you look like you know what you're doing. If you don't mind, I would like to join you, if you don't mind. That's on you. So he joined in, and we started doing this pretty consistently. And then another gentleman joined in. He said, man, you guys practice, you do this again tomorrow? Let's try it. And then some other people joined in. And the manager said, you have like a following without even having a class. I said, I do, huh? Yeah, it's all right. And then she said, you know, if you go get certified, we'll give you your own class. And from that point, I went to go get certified, and then I came back and I had my own class. And during that time, it was a really small class, but it was building up, and the experience that I was having by the participants showed me a whole new reality in the world of fitness. One incident happened that changed my entire yoga experience. It happened in the studios, but when it happened in my own class, it made me reevaluate what health and wellness is. And there was a woman, she came in and she looked at me at the time, you probably couldn't tell I had an afro at the time, so it was a little different. She came in and she said, excuse me, sir, are you teaching? I said, yes, ma'am, I am. Her face kind of dropped, she looked me up and down, and she proceeded to walk out. I was speechless. I had no rebuttal for that. I had no response other than, well, let me go ahead and teach this class. So then eventually she came back and she apologized. She said, I judged you off of your appearance. I've been hearing great things about you, and I apologize. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to come back, and I didn't say any harsh words to her. I didn't say, you shouldn't come here. I welcomed her back into the space, and that gave her an opportunity to grow. But then I looked at it from a deeper perspective, and I said, our society is married like this. This is the way our society looks. So it's not just about fitness. So then, fast forward a little bit, I started thinking about what is harmony. So I got excited when I heard about Fit Mornings because Ryan talked about unity, bringing the great minds together to have a discussion in a unified front. And for me, that resonated because unity is the very essence of harmony. Think of any society or any group of people who are not connected to each other, and if they're in harmonious progression, they're not. The only way things work is if you are in harmony. If you think about it in terms of your body, your heart, your blood, the air that flows in your lungs, your kidneys, your spleen, everything has to be working harmoniously for you to function at your highest level. So what does that look like in society? That's the fitness of your body, but what about the body of the earth and the people that live on it? So that's why I started an organization that's called ImUnique, because everybody is different, but we have a program called Illustrating Union, because union, again, is the foundation of harmony. That's where things function. That's where things come together. So we go to different cultural institutions and we bring people together because I know the importance, the value of having unique individuals share their story, their smiles in one space just like this. So this stuck with me. I said, this is exactly what I want to be. This is brilliant. This is brilliant. This is a brilliant idea. But then I started thinking, a lot of times we have these conversations with people who already know the information. So then you begin to preach to the choir. So what can you say different? Because you've heard so much. You know about the alignments. You know how to define your muscles. But do you know how to actively engage the rest of society? Do you know how to create a welcoming environment to solve some of the great problems that we have in our world? Not saying that you have to solve the world, but saying within your reach, you can affect the lives that are right next to you. Some people always say, I don't want to take on the burden of solving the problems of the world. I say just share your space and your opportunity to solve the problems around you. And that's why I started the organization, because I feel as though we need to connect in a more intimate, meaningful way. So fitness can be defined in many ways. We just heard how many people have different definitions of fitness. My question becomes, why fitness? Do we want to be in shape? Do we want to be toned? Do we want to please other people? Or are we trying to become in balance with the world around us? Because as you function at your highest level, the world around you can emulate that and become better. If you take the action to better yourself, the reaction is a better society. So the work is not based off of just getting in shape. It's more so grounded within making a harmonious society, making things matter. There's so many people dying because they don't know how to take care of themselves, because they don't have the resources. And I feel like it's a disservice if we don't reach out to them. If we continue to try to please people with our words and say all the most powerful statements, but we don't act upon them, it's irrelevant. And then I lean on people in the past. We're talking about yoga. So I think of people, Swami Vishnu. Is everybody familiar with who that is? No? Swami Vishnu, he's a yoga practitioner. He was a disciple of Swami Shivananda. And there's many, many lessons to learn from this man. He became a pilot. He used to fly something called the peace plane. He painted a plane, and he put peace on it. He put all kind of beautiful things on it, put flowers on it. And he used to fly across borders, man-made barriers. And he flew over the Berlin Wall, and he had all these people saying he's going to get shot down. And his response is that, well, people die all the time, but people don't die for a purpose every day. So what he was trying to show is that all the barriers that we have in our world were made by us, mentally as well as physically. I can fly over this, and it means nothing. But all these people are thinking about this barrier, creating change, dividing people, so we're not unified, so we're not in harmony. So then there was some other jets coming up, and the way he responded to them, they said, we're going to shoot you down, is he threw grenades of flowers at them. He started throwing flowers at the people. They didn't shoot him down. And then once he landed, all the farmers ran to him, and he started handing out flowers. He got arrested, handing out flowers, talking about peace. But what was the response to that? People were saying, this is a dumb idea. We need to change the way we do things. We need to change our structures. And eventually, it's no longer there. That wall is no longer there. It was people putting forth the effort to make those changes. But he used to be in the military, and before he met his master, Swami Shivananda, there was a time where he didn't really understand humility. So there was a time that he went back to meet his master, and he was trying to hide from Shivananda, because while Shivananda was walking down, everybody was bowing to him. And he didn't want to bow. Not bow, so he kind of hid. I ain't about to bow to nobody. But then the master came to him and bowed to him, and he learned humility. And then it changed his paradigm. It's not about me, it's not about you, it's about us. So then he started having a deeper calling in his work. So when you look at all these instructors, you're leading classes, but you're leading people. The words that come out of your mouth are leading people in a positive direction or aimlessly. What does your voice do? What kind of power does your words have? When you lead these classes, when you take classes, when you talk to your children, when you talk to your employees, you talk to your coworkers, to me, that's the essence of true fitness, is the impact, the strength that it creates within society. Because you fast forward to modern time, or you take it back a little bit, there was barriers, you got the Berlin Wall, but then you come over here in the 60s and 70s, and there was a lot of barriers here too. As I think about the woman who walked out of my class, I look at the doors, and I'm reminded around a lot of the barriers that are in these institutions, in these own walls. I walked into yoga studios and I was not accepted. When I got my certification, my first certification, the person leading classes asked me, and why are you here? After he asked everybody else, and he said, and why are you here? As though I was not supposed to be there, as though I didn't belong. And I didn't blame him for that, because I understand conditioning. And I understand people's upbringing. And I understand the toxic way of thinking that's embedded into our society. So it's not his problem. I feel as though he's a victim of his culture. He's a victim of his parents. And he can be changed too. But I'm looking at all these walls, and I'm looking at the doors, and I remember signs like whites only, coloreds, and there's all these barriers and there's all these divisions, and then you take those off of the doors, and it's still there. It's invisible, but it's still there by the way we treat each other, because we don't create welcoming environments. And that takes away from the health of our society. So as we talk about redefining health, we have to talk about how we treat one another. We can't talk about what's the blood pressure, what's your BMI? Is this person obese? Does this person eat healthy? The first question we have to ask, does this person think healthy? Can we talk about a healthy society and we have people in place who know we are provided with toxic food, and you feed it to the people anyway, and then you ask the people to vote on it, when your job is to make sure that the people aren't being fed toxic food? That shouldn't even be in discussion. We shouldn't even have to vote on this. So that's a thought process that's a problem. Because who's taking care of the people? So these are things I think about. Then I think about people like, it's a fiction figure, Rocky Balboa, the Italian stallion. He worked out all the time, in real life and in the film, but he was one of my inspirations. He always had a higher purpose within his physical ability. Rocky IV, y'all seen Rocky IV? Y'all remember Rocky IV? You haven't seen it?
The rest.
You gotta go see it. You gotta go see Rocky IV if you've never seen it before. He fought a guy, what was his name? Ivan Drago. So, and then what was interesting is he used the elements to train. While Drago was geared for perfection. He had all the proper equipment. He had all the perfect trainers. He had everything in place. He was perfect. Rocky had a barn. He had some snow. He had to run through the snow. He had some horses he had to lift up. And he trained with the environment. He trained with the elements. But what I like so much about that training piece is Drago used to train with people. He had sparring partners. He would knock out all the sparring partners. And Rocky never sparred with anybody because his greatest fight was with himself. Think about it when you work out and you don't want to work out. How difficult is that? You know you got to go get it in, but you don't go. So every time we always compete with other people, we have to remind ourselves that we're fighting for ourselves. We're fighting with ourselves. That's the greatest war you'll ever fight, is the one with yourself. So that's what it was illustrating, that he fought with himself. He didn't have any sparring partner because he realized it was all about him. It wasn't about anybody else. But he used his physical ability to reach the people, to inspire the people, to change the people. Because after he won that fight, before the fight, everybody there didn't like him. It was during the Cold War. It was a lot going on. And all the people hated him because he represented America. And these countries were warring. But he said, I can change, and you can change. And now the people resonate with that because it was about creating harmony. So anytime you hear something being said, it's always about creating harmony, whether it's in fitness, whether it's in the health and wellness realm, it's always about creating harmony. And lastly, I'm gonna talk about Bruce Lee. I talked about him earlier, but Bruce Lee, he gets noted for his physical ability. He gets noted for some of his philosophy. But he's one of the most physically fit people that we've ever known in the history of our lives. Who do you know that was greater than Bruce Lee? Physically. I mean, he was the man for a lot of people. For me, at least, he was pretty good. But so Bruce Lee did some things that was pretty impressive, but one of the things that stood out for me early on was what he did for society. Not what he did on film, but what he did before he became famous. Because there was a time when nobody wanted Bruce Lee to teach the lessons, teach fitness to the Western world, to different races. They say, no, we don't want that knowledge to go over there because they will abuse this knowledge. And it's not for them, this is for us. So he had to physically fight to teach people how to take care of themselves, how to optimize their physical ability, how to be fit mentally and physically. So he had to physically fight against his own people to share it with all the people around the world. And he did that. And I don't know the influence that you guys know. Like, he created a culture of people that started thinking about fitness differently. You're thinking about how much you want to get in shape, but you're also thinking about your contribution. So anytime, me personally, when I'm thinking about fitness, I'm thinking about contribution. What is your contribution to society as well? So if you look at all these great people I talked about, they realized that it wasn't just about them. There was a greater cause waiting for them. So every time you lead a class, every time you take a class, every time you're united with people, know that it's more than just you. It's about us becoming stronger physically. Yes, because we have to be strong physically to go against society. But we also have to be strong mentally. And I want to ask this question: what is the most harmonious act amongst living beings, amongst all living beings? That's a question for you guys to answer out loud.
Truth.
Keep them coming. What's the most harmonious act amongst all living beings? Love, smiles. What was that? Compassion. So compassion, when we talk about harmony, there's a lot of places that are not compassionate. There's a lot of people who are not connected. So I can't classify it as being harmony. What's the most harmonious thing in all of living beings? In all living beings. Connection. That's close. I think somebody said it. No matter your religious belief, no matter your race, no matter if you're a plant, tree, this is constant. It's never broken. And once it is, death comes. It's breathing. So if we learn anything from nature, from our environment, it's always about creating harmony. So when we talk about fitness, we're talking about creating harmony. We're talking about health, we're talking about creating harmony. So anytime you're stressed out or your kids are stressed out, what do we tell them to do? We tell them to breathe because they're disconnected to what's harmonious. And then there's 3 main causes of disease I want to cover. What's the 3 main causes of disease? Stress. Diet. Sleep. All of those. We're more governed under these principles. The most harmonious is the breath. But the 3 causes of disease is this. Number 1, crimes against wisdom. So you talk about the absence of sleep. If you know you're supposed to be sleeping and you stay up long, and you do this for a long period of time, taxes your system. Think about it in terms of drinking alcohol. The first time you had alcohol, how was that? Was that delicious? Were you like, this is delicious, give me some more? Or did you have a response like, ugh, ugh. That's a crime against wisdom. Your body has this innate intelligence telling you what's good for it and what's not good for it. But we override that information and we smoke and we do things that we know are destructive. We get bad relationships, know you shouldn't be in that relationship. This person isn't treating you good, but you remain there. You're committing a crime against your own intelligence, your own wisdom. But if you do these things, that's how you create problems for yourself. Crimes against wisdom. The next one is the abuse of the senses. Think about it. Say, oh, we're struggling against obesity. This person just doesn't know what to eat. So they always, they want sugary foods. They want a lot of food. They always abuse the senses. Somebody listens to loud music all the time. Now they have ear problems. Someone is addicted to having sex. They begin to tax their system. In Taoism, they talk about losing the qi, losing the energy in the dantian, because you're always having too much sex. Not knowing how to have sex. You're just doing it out of routine. Crime against wisdom, abuse of the senses. Overindulging in things you know are toxic for you creates problems in you. You abuse these senses. Very simple, but meaningful. And then the last one being the effects of time. You do any of those for a long period of time, that's where the problems come from. So if you think about, drinking all the time, over time that taxes your liver, then you have problems. So those are the 3 main causes of disease. Crimes against wisdom, abuse of the senses, and effects of time. And they can also be married and paralleled the opposite, with the intelligence, the activity that you do every time, every day. So what I want to do really fast, I want you to get active. And I want you to sit up really tall. And I want you to close your eyes. And we can have you doing planks, we can have you doing up dogs, down dogs, and that will make you stronger physically. But I'm looking to go a little deeper. So what I want you to do is focus on relaxing your face, softening your shoulders. And every time you exhale, I want you to let go a little more. And every time you inhale, I want this to symbolize the rebirth of your passion, your integrity, your compassion. And every time you exhale, I want that to release the doubt, the worry, the negative judgments upon yourself. And I want you to make the breath deeper. And never forget these moments of being harmonious with the world around you. So whenever you disconnect, whenever you feel anxiety coming on, this is where you go. This is not a trend. This is the medicine to encapsulate peace. This is where you break down those mental borders, barriers. And I want you to do that for 20 more seconds here on your own. Now I want you to slowly open your eyes. And just feel the change if there is a change. And now what's living inside of you? Last person I'm gonna talk about it. How much time I got? That's it?
Just a couple minutes.
Couple minutes. Muhammad Ali, y'all know Muhammad Ali? Muhammad Ali was one of the greatest athletes of our time. And not just for his physical ability, because he was coined as what? The what?
The greatest.
The greatest. Or something else that people call him. What do they call Muhammad Ali? What do they call Muhammad Ali?
A lot of things.
The people's champ. The people's champ. So if you're an instructor, if you're a leader, if you're a manager, or you're just a person just living life, be the people's champ. Be for the people. And that's where real fitness happens for me. That's the fight, is as we work together in a united front for the people. Thank you.